Okay, time now for this week's portrait feature, and a word of explanation here. The film was made on the beautiful Martha's Vineyard, which is a small island, maybe 30, 40 miles northeast of the New York coastline. James Taylor and Carly Simon live on the island, at least for most of the year, along with many of the members of their respective families. Kate, Alex and Hugh Taylor all live there, within a stone's throw of James and Carly. Now, we visited them there some months ago, just before James joined CBS, and recorded the marvellous JT, which, unfashionable though it may be, sounds to me like one of the best albums he's done for a long time. So, James and Carly, the Taylors of Martha's Vineyard.
James, first of all, can you introduce us?
This is Sarah Maria, and we call her Sally because she can pronounce it.
Hello, Sally. James, can I take you right back to when you first started getting involved with music?
Sure.
How long ago was it?
I had my first job at the age of 15 on this island, and there was a club here called the Unicorn. It was a branch of a club that now I think still exists in Boston.
The Moon Costume.
No, the Unicorn did.
Here?
Yeah. Right.
Really? God, that was before my time then.
It's possible.
There's such a thing as before my time.
Yeah, it was in Oak Bluffs here on the island, and I had a job there with my friend Danny Korchmar, and we were billed as Jamie and Cooch. But let's see. Yeah, that was the first time I was playing, and then down south, down in North Carolina, me and my brother Alex were in a band together called the Fabulous Corsairs, and we made pocket money that way, you know. That was it. That's the beginning of my professional career. I used to play cello when I was a kid, but I gave it up and started to play the guitar because I thought, you know, that had a nicer image, and to me, and so I worked on guitar for a while and started to write a few tunes. And,
When did you move to London then, James?
well, let's see. I was in a band in New York for a while after I finished high school, and when that broke up, I decided I'd like to travel a little bit, so I went over to London, and I found it very difficult to get work without having papers. So I decided instead that I'd like to make a record, and I bought some demo time in a studio in Soho. I can't remember what the name of the studio was. I think it was a stereo studio, just a 2-track studio. So it must have been a radio facility or something. I don't know what the name of it was, but it cost £8 for 45 minutes, and I made this little record. And I started to take it around, and finally, out of desperation, I decided to try the Beatles. I mean, not that I had to be desperate to want to be with Apple, but I hadn't really taken myself that seriously. But Peter Asher heard it and he liked it, and the Beatles were very receptive at that time. They were listening to everything that came in. So they signed me. I was the first person signed to Apple.
Singing the way she moves, or looks my way, she calls my name. That seems to leave this troubled world behind. And if I'm feeling down and blue, troubled by some foolish game, she always seems to make me change my mind. And I feel fine anytime she's around me now. She's around me now, almost all the time. And if I'm well, you can tell she's been with me now. She's been with me now, quite a long, long time, and I feel fine.
So how did you link with Warner Brothers then?
Peter Asher called up and said they haven't paid us and they haven't notified us of any sales, or, you know, it was a contract that they had to keep us posted as to what was going on formally. So they had breached contract on a number of different, Apple had, actually just because it was totally disorganized and was being disbanded. So Alan Klein, who was taking over at that point, I suppose didn't think I was very important, and he let me slip by, that's all. So we claimed breach of contract. We signed with Warner Brothers, and Peter moved to this country and produced a couple more records for me. Started to manage me.
Carly, had you done a recording at that point?
No, I didn't. Well, I had with my sister. We recorded for Cap Records. Excuse me a second. Okay, a little brief. Here.
These two.
Here's a little one. We recorded for Cap in 1962 when we were both in college. And but my first solo album wasn't until 1971.
Because you recorded, now which two? Was it the second and third in London?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Anticipation and No Secrets.
Your family has very strong associations here on the island, isn't it?
Yes, I have very strong associations here. My father and mother came here about a year after they were married and started spending every summer here. And I spent the first summer of my life here. And I think practically every summer after that. And we never bought a house here, although now my mother and my brother have recently bought homes. But as a family unit, we never bought a house here. But my mother now lives here for 6 months of the year, and my brother lives here all year round. I have two other sisters who just kind of come up and visit us. But my sister and I used to sing here in a place called the Mooncusser, which is where I first came in contact with James. And there used to be, it seems to me, a stronger sort of musical community on the island than there is now. Because of that club, it went out of business because it's hard to keep a business going here in all year round. There's a lot of summertime business, and then in the winter it seems to dissipate, certainly because the island population falls off so radically.
I think it also was the folk music period, you know, and now rock and roll is much more business oriented. It doesn't have as much club participation, you know. It's usually it's like straight from the studio into
larger arena.
Yeah, that's
but at that
true,
time, you know, it was Kreskin's Jug Band, and well, I don't know, there was a Club 47 and the Unicorn in Boston feeding a lot of summer acts down here, and there were clubs in Manhattan and in Connecticut and in Washington, stuff like that, small clubs. There were a lot of acts, and it was a big thing.